This is the 186th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the third week of August, 2014. This episode is titled Starter Pack Heroes. This episode is brought to you by The Permissioner by Arkus. Mass assign and revoke Salesforce permission sets. It truly is permission sets made easy. Available for free on the App Exchange. Or go to thepermissioner.com, and that will bring you right to the App Exchange. I'm your host, Jason Howard. Joining me 186 times in a row, closing in on the ballyhoo of 200, Justin Edelstein. Justin, how are you doing today?
I am doing just fine. Thank you very much.
Is the kimono back closed?
Closed.
Because we opened the kimono last week, and now we had to close the kimono. Close it back up. So last episode, as many of you may or may not remember, was about sort of like opening up. We took some questions, we answered some things, we were being frank and honest, and we told a little bit about our setup, which we are actually in the main studio where it is currently 68 degrees.
Balmy.
A balmy 68. What's 82 or 3 outside? I actually like it 68 in here. It's nice. Keeps you awake and fresh.
It's kind of true.
Fresh and awake.
I'm awake.
Speaking of being awake, we have an agenda. So we have 2 blog posts to catch up on. Reporting on attachments with DataLoader.io. To have another one on the Nonprofit Starter Pack 3.0. We want to cover a little bit of I guess, sort of move to the Power of Us Hub side of things and talk about 30 days of community heroes. Maybe call out 1 or 2 who we know. And then talk about the Power of Us Hub for people who don't know about it. Tell you what it is and why you should go there, why you shouldn't. Maybe we'll get some opinions on that. And then we will wrap it up and give our CloudFocus app pick of the week. I'm sure between now and then you will figure one out.
I don't know.
Let's see. Have you downloaded some sort of app that helps you track points in the last week? Because that's like your go-to.
No.
Crelly, Snelly.
None of those.
Felly.
Smelly.
No. The new Smelly app. Track how many times you flatulate.
Can you imagine a smelly app? Like it's just like you just pointed at things like, what does this smell like? And it just knows. It's like, whoa.
I told you I can give you a list of mine. I've got so many.
I told you to give it to me, and you never gave it to me.
No, you said you were gonna go find your own.
Give it to me. Give me one.
All right.
I'll just go on the App Exchange and pick something like I always do.
I found one today. You actually might want to pick The Permissioner by Arkus.
Oh,
no, that's not it. And we are, as I've heard, coming back from some of our loyal listeners. We are still hard at work at our super secret project for our new App Exchange product, which will be good for all of you listeners, so you don't have to hear us talking about the Permissioner and Compliance Locker. Really focused in on trying to get that done before Dreamforce, which, by the way, we will be at booth N1032. So N North will be in the North Hall at 1032. 1032. Actually, we've got a nice corner booth there, so you'll be easy to find us. Cool. So if you want to, and if you want to save $100 on your Salesforce Dreamforce registration for Dreamforce 2014, you can use the code EC14ARKUS. EC14ARKUS. That's EC14 ARKUS, ARKUS. And you save $100 off registration. It is constantly rising, so you might as well start doing it now, because otherwise you're going to pay a lot of money.
Cool.
All right, so let's get to the first blog post of the week, which was written by not me and not you. One of the weeks that we didn't write something. This one's titled Reporting on Attachments via DataLoader.io. So for those of you who don't know, DataLoader.io is a web-based data loader. In a slew of web-based data loaders now. There's one by Informatica, there's one by Jitterbit, there's one by DataLoader.io, and there's probably a couple more that I don't know about.
Jitterbit really like a web-based one?
Yeah, Jitterbit. I think you
still have to build
the Jitterbit cloud.
Yeah, but don't you still have to build the actual jobs in a client? I believe you do.
I think you reported on or talked about the
yeah, I know, but
Jitterbit has a web client now.
No,
a web version.
I never did do that. If
but then
there
it
is one,
exist.
I don't know about it. I mean, it's very possible.
Pretty sure there is.
The one that I used was being able to deploy the jobs to the cloud, so you don't have to have a dedicated
then there you go.
for it.
And then there's a new Salesforce one that's now GA. It's not in beta anymore, I don't think. that replaces their old wizard.
The wizard.
It actually works for me.
The wizard.
Now I use it now once in a while. So for those of you who don't know, everybody should know, there are many ways of getting data into your Salesforce org. But one of them is using just web-based things. You don't need like big ETL tools. You can just do it. We're deep into ETL tools now. I know you were just sort of learning a new one. I have a new one to learn. I know 2 or 3 others. They all kind of have the same concepts. But anyway, one of the big drawbacks on Salesforce is you can't actually report on attachments. Like you can't report on. We've had a use case come from a client the other day saying, I want to know how many times this PowerPoint deck was sent out. Right? So is this something dot PPT? And you really can't do it. So, but you can do it with the data loader. So you can pull out the attachments. It'll give you the who it's connected to, and then you can actually pull out that and do a little VLOOKUP matchy to figure it out. It'd be nice if there was a nice product for this. Hint, hint. No, this is not our new product. But I've actually thought about it.
Someone else build it.
This would be a nice little product that you could just like kind of report on attachments and who's using it, who's sending out, and the activities. But anyway, so the blog post at blog.arkusinc.com talks about this and tells you how to do it. So, but do it with DataLoader.io, so which is a free.
We have some other they're actually at the bottom of our, you'll notice the related content at the bottom of the blog post. We've written something very similar on how to report on notes and attachments. That other one was using Jitterbit.
Yep.
But in a little bit of a different fashion.
And in another one called Comparing Data Loaders for Salesforce.
Right. A lot of data loading, comparing, reporting on things you can't report on types of
this
blog
is
posts.
Yeah. Well, we're all about the admin. We've decided that's it. That's what we're all about.
All about the admin.
Right. So because we're admins and we like to help people out. So, yeah. So anyway, even a review of DataLoader.io. So it's all there on blog.arkusinc.com. Check it out. What's not there on blog.arkusinc.com yet, because it has not been published, but will be very soon. So maybe by the time you're reading this or listening to this, if you're reading this, I don't know how you're reading it. If you're listening to this jogging, or if you have this on triple speed, is a little bit about the new nonprofit starter pack. So this nonprofit starter pack 3, the blog post is entitled, at this point in time, before it goes up, what's new with Salesforce Nonprofit Starter Pack 3? Why don't you give me a elevator pitch on what the Nonprofit Starter Pack is?
Sure. So the Nonprofit Starter Pack is, just as the name would suggest, a good place to kick off your nonprofit implementation if you have a focus on fundraising and development. I would say that that's really the focus of the Nonprofit Starter Pack, is to make your life easier in getting go. I'm trying to do this without saying starting or starter or anything like that.
Try not to use the word in that for description.
Right, but it describes itself so well.
A tree is a tree.
A tree is a tree. Well, yeah. So this is to get yourself going, a little rocket boost into not having to take Salesforce in its, enterprise edition world of accounts and contacts and opportunities and translate all that and make it into, donor tracking and different kinds of donations and the way that you get paid on those donations. It adds a lot of features around individuals. So it has not person accounts, but kind of a different model for handling quote unquote B2C, yep. That model that you deal with a lot in nonprofits.
So what is it exactly, if you were to describe it to someone? Is it a different version of Salesforce? Is it a...
I'd say it's a highly customized version of Salesforce that would be used by nonprofits. It's in the newest incarnation, it's not as segmented. It used to be, I think, 7 different managed packages that would be installed on top of an enterprise edition org to make
that's where I was really going. Is that it sort of installs inside your Salesforce?
Yeah, well, that's if you don't tell Salesforce when you're initially signing up as a nonprofit. When you first start, you go through a sign up form and you say which edition you want. You want Enterprise Edition, or do you want the Nonprofit Starter Pack? And if you choose Nonprofit Starter Pack, it comes all pre-configured and installed. with the installed packages, of course.
Right.
But if you say Enterprise Edition and then you say, ooh, I really wish I had that nonprofit starter pack functionality,
Right.
you could go to all the different packages and install
Or now in
them.
one package.
Now it's in one package, which makes it a lot nicer. Or for those of us who like bits and pieces of the nonprofit starter pack and use them outside of the nonprofit world.
Looking at you, affiliations.
Looking at you, affiliations and relationships package. And even the the accounts and contacts package, like where you can sort of use that instead of person accounts.
Right.
That's kind of a very basic overview of what it is from a technological perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit, I think there's always a confusion when I talk to anybody about Salesforce about the packages that you can install. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago, maybe, that there are, maybe, I don't know, I was talking to someone in my sleep.
We were just talking. Not on the pod.
But talking about how there are sorts of installable packages for Salesforce, and they are all just, their code, and they do some things. Sometimes they rename things. Sometimes they put in new objects. Sometimes they put in new code that does things. This one's been built over many, many years. In fact, I remember it from as far as back as I can remember. It's been around, and it does have a lot of functionality in it, and it's free, which is nice. But just for people to sort of understand, Salesforce is Salesforce, and then you install these things. And so I've heard people say, "Oh, I have this edition of Salesforce. I have the private equity edition. I have Salesforce for banking. I have the nonprofit edition." Right. Well, actually, that actually does exist. But, I think there's some confusion around what that really means. In this case, when we say the nonprofit starter pack, we're talking about the application that installs into Salesforce.
An enterprise edition version of Salesforce,
right.
Correct.
But there is actually a difference between an enterprise version and the version you get as a nonprofit with your grant. It has some differences to it. It used to, anyway.
No, if you were to
have like more sandboxes, that's some things like that.
From that perspective,
yes,
yes, but the production environment is no different.
Right. But it had different stuff in it, meaning, like, I think you had, 5 sandboxes.
You used to get 7.
So
I don't know what it is now.
Right. So that's different. Like, as an enterprise license, you only get 1. This one used to get 7. So
I can't really think of anything else, though, that's
something else
different.
Anyway, so that's what we're talking about. There's some new stuff. Why don't you pick one thing, and we'll let everybody else go to blog.arkusinc.com and read the other.
So if I were to pick one thing here, it would be the way that they've now handled householding. So in the previous version of the nonprofit starter pack, households were their own kind of clunky object. I don't want to call it clunky because it did what it functioned the way it was supposed to function.
Someone's crying at the end of a earphones right now.
That's fine. It was a little clunky to manage, and over time it's gotten a little easier. They've made the screen a little nicer for dragging and dropping people into and out of households, and they've made the naming of households a little bit better. But now you have a whole lot more functionality around how to handle the naming convention of households. Households are actually just going to be a type of account now,
which is where they should be.
Yeah, they used to be you'd have this one-to-one model that the nonprofit starter pack uses, which basically is when you create a contact without an account, it creates kind of both of them on the fly. So it's their version of a person account, but instead of it looking like an account, it looks like a contact, and the account is still there, and it's the person's name. And when you click on it, it just redirects right to the contact.
Yep.
So now you have the ability to have this household record type on the account and put people into it, and have a lot more flexibility with how you handle the naming convention of the household itself. And as part of, just a little bit more, I'll dive in a little deeper, addresses. So addresses are handled a lot nicer within the nonprofit starter pack. They've even done some integrations with kind of behind the scenes to
Smarty Street.
Yeah, to kind of make sure that address verification and things of that nature are handled.
Yeah, it's actually stuff that
really nice stuff that Salesforce.
Yeah, it would be nice if Salesforce has. Right? Yeah. So
I think they're looking into some geotagging type of technology as well. There's a lot of stuff.
So it's an open source product. I think it's available on. Didn't we argue about this the other day? It was available on GitHub.
We weren't arguing about that. We were probably arguing about something, but I don't think that was it.
So it's a very interesting. Again, there are lots of. I think the last time I remember is 15, 20,000 nonprofits using Salesforce, something like that, 30,000, something like that.
I don't know. We'll probably hear it again in about 2 months. In October,
That's
2 months
true.
from now, we'll
and it definitely makes it more usable for them. I mean, I've installed the Nonprofit Starter Pack personally for my own PTA, and you're just looking for different things. And I know as a configurer that I can change a lot of stuff. This is like, I'm going to change some things so you understand things better, build some functionality that you wouldn't want to pay for if you're a nonprofit. It also changes sort of, where Salesforce is going in terms of even, the nonprofit world. This is sort of a huge stance in saying we're going to keep developing this, even though we're making, headroads into other software. They're making other connections or other commitments to other sort of non-profit-y packages, but more like pay packages. So it's an interesting world.
It's nice. It's free. It works.
Yep.
It's going to work better on the mobile.
Yep.
In the Salesforce One
Salesforce One world.
And they've done a good job, and they did a nice job with this in Nonprofit Starter Pack, I guess 2.0. Where they had a lot of, as developers you use a lot of custom settings to, store the way that you want the application to work. So they gave like really nice UI screens for all those custom settings that you don't want to have someone have to go into the back and manage those custom settings. So now they've done an even better job and put them all on one screen in little like sub tab type of things. So hiding or having the extensibility of all the custom settings, but hiding the fact that they are those ugly custom settings in the background and putting a nice UI on top of it is a really nice touch for the Nonprofit Starter Pack, because the administrators are, unless you're at a really big nonprofit, the administrators of particularly the Salesforce instances that are getting the 10 free and that's what they're using, they're typically, that's not their job.
Right.
They've just been given the task of being the Salesforce administrator. So, it's not like they have a big IT shop or anything like that.
Right.
So giving them screens where it just looks like a regular Salesforce screen and you're just choosing, I want this, I want this, I want this to work this way, this to work that way, and hitting the save button. Behind this, under the covers, you're doing a whole lot of interesting stuff, but up front, it doesn't look like it.
So again, if for anybody who's listening to this that has no clue what we're talking about, Salesforce does donate 10 licenses of their software to 501c3 nonprofits for the low price of free. You have to go through an application process. It's usually pretty quick. You have to show your certification letter, things like that. But then you get 10 licenses and things like this. And here's my segue. My segue.
Your segue, Scott.
My segue into, the success community, which we talk about. The success community, we say we have a group in the success community. Well, an offshoot or a sibling of the success community is the Power of Us Hub, which is a success community for the nonprofit world. And is just had its year anniversary, I think, August 1st, 2014.
Happy
Happy anniversary,
Power of Us Hub.
And to celebrate that, they're doing 30 days of community heroes. They're kind of highlighting 30 people who are in the community. Just want to let you know. Newsflash, you're not one of them.
Neither of us.
Neither one of us. But we do have some recognizable faces in the list. But if you go to salesforcefoundation.org, there's a blog post, 30 Days of Community Heroes. You can see all the heroes. A lot of these people I recognize and know very well. So there's a whole list of names. You can see them all there. And then every day they're actually releasing a new profile on each one of them and with a little picture and saying who they are and where they come from. So I thought it was a good way to kind of bring us into talking about the Power of Us Hub, it's being its 1 year anniversary, which is, again, for those of you who know the success community, it is a success community, except for, or it is a community, a Salesforce community, except for it's not an open community. I think there are restrictions on who can get in there. I think you have to be a nonprofit to get in. I think you have to have. I don't know actually. Since I'm a partner and I got in because we do a lot of nonprofit work.
Yeah, we were able to justify our
existence
in the community.
But how would I get in if I didn't? Would I just get my license, my Salesforce license log me in automatically?
I can't remember because it was so long ago how that occurred. I feel like we had to.
No, I'm saying for a normal user.
Oh, a normal
Yes.
like Salesforce nonprofit
Yes.
user. Their Salesforce login would log them in.
So
there's actually in
somewhere.
the nonprofit starter pack. It ships with a custom link in the left nav now that links right over to the hub.
Right. So there you go. So it's not for everybody because not everybody can get in.
Right.
But it's and I think there's been some. For those of us who involve in a lot of Salesforce communities and are in parts of them and have sort of chatter profiles and all that, having it broken out, I mean, I know there's always a reason why to do one thing. I think speed to market, maybe a more secure environment, maybe a little bit more, walled garden, if you will. So that's one reason to keep it, connected or disconnected from the other communities. But then, the other community has now Dreamforce and Success in one and single sign-in from your org. And if you're going to be in that one, there's a lot of activity in there. So, I think there's been some back and forth whether it was the right thing. I personally would like everything to be in one just because laziness. I want to be able to sign into one place and get to everything. And, if they're tabs or navigation elements or, to me, it's a navigation issue. It's not really I know to them it's a technological issue. To me, it's like, well, as the end user, I don't care. I just don't want to have to bounce around and set up two profiles and have two sets of places to go in and have two sets of groups I have to maintain. And I don't want to do that.
I just feel very nervous in there.
You
as
do?
A partner. Yeah. Having had a post get taken down.
They're a little. Was it yours or was it mine? You're talking about my post.
It was both. It was you posting on behalf of both of us.
I was not posting on behalf
of you.
Well,
you were because you were posting our podcast.
My podcast.
I'll stop now.
So go ahead. Just kidding with you. This broadcast is brought to you by Friendship. The letter F. All right. Talk about it.
No, I'm done.
All right. So someone deleted one of our posts in there, and we had to talk about it.
I get nervous about it because I don't want to be the person who is in the community doing disrespecting the rules.
Right.
But at the same time, I didn't really feel like I was disrespecting the rules. So for that reason, I have personally stepped away from the Power of Us Hub. I do not participate in that community.
Right.
And that's my choice to not participate in that community.
Absolutely. And again, like any community, it is, I must say I participated in it less than the others. What's nice is they actually have some features turned on in there that are not, they have like some, they're like piloting things.
Chatter Answers is in there.
Chatter Answers, really cool. Some profile enhancements are in there.
I mean, I log in from time to time to get in there because I have to get in there and get stuff that the Foundation partnership, they post stuff in there. So I go in and grab it. But I choose not to proactively post in there, and that is my prerogative to choose which communities I want to be involved in.
It's definitely, and again, maybe it's our personal experience. It's definitely a more strict community. Like Salesforce community is a little bit like the Success community is a little bit like the Wild West. This is more like Upper West Side. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's definitely, they have rules. Not everybody can get in, and there are rules, and things get deleted. I find, I wish that a little bit of that goes towards Success community, because I find Success community is a little bit like the Wild Wild West, and people are kind of going nuts over there. There's some restrictions, but with the millions of people in there, it's harder to do. In the Power of Us Hub, it's a much smaller community, and I think that they're right or wrong. I think that the overarching feeling is that the nonprofit community should be nurtured a little bit differently, and so the rules should be different, and so I think that's why it's a different community, right? That makes sense to me. Again, I think it's harder to participate, and for those of us who also have the partner community, which is another community.
Yet another community.
I mean, it's like you get communityed out.
Yeah,
so,
and then you have as partners, you have the partner community, and you have the partner portal,
Well, those
which
are
has
merging.
not it hasn't merged.
Yes.
You still have to do some stuff in one place and others in another
Yet
place.
another login is the point.
So it's another, well, at least the partner portal is another login in and of itself, but the partner community is single sign-on.
That's a nice one.
Single sign-on, that's fine. I like that.
Yes.
At least I can just sort of bookmark it and get in there, but...
Well, I guess overall, if you are a nonprofit, there is a lot of resources in there.
Tons and tons of people willing to answer any question you feel like asking.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's actually a I don't know if it's a weekly the nonprofit hours.
They used to do weekly office hours.
I
don't know if they still do them weekly.
So, I know someone did it last week because
they used to do them weekly. I think that was like an MVP office hours.
And I saw one post for another one this week. Though. Yeah. But anyway, go in there. There's a lot of resources, and they do hold open office hours where they'll answer questions. You just get on, literally call up to a number, and you can then ask questions and get things answered. And I think this is, the overall arching thing is this. I like to push people into these communities. Someone asked me, or a client asked for something the other day, or through someone else, and I said, get them into the community. Like, that's the point of the community. Answer those types of questions. It was a question about how someone used some sort of product, and I was like, that's something that's in the community. Like, go in there. There's plenty of people in there. They've answered it 100 times. There's people. It's not really answers, but it's like having a discussion. So I encourage everybody to get into any of the 17 communities you can and check them out. They're also really great use cases for Chatter. They show the power of Chatter. So if you're a Salesforce geek, seeing how these millions of people are cooperating and file sharing and all that stuff in Chatter is pretty powerful. All right. Well, speaking of community, we have our own community. Why don't we just plug our own group in the success community?
Go ahead.
CloudFocus Weekly group. Now up to some 100 of something. I think it went up the other day, 116 users or something. Again, if you just want to follow, we post things in there time to time, maybe a poll now and again. Really, it's just a way if you want to track on, the podcast without subscribing to it somewhere else, or want to comment, or then you can do it there. But let's talk about our CloudFocus app picks of the week. Okay. Oh, look, you found one.
I found one.
Why are you having a little moment with me? Is that when you found it?
No, I found it before that.
You found that before it? Okay. All right. Well, you go first.
I don't know. It looked decent.
This is terrible.
It's by Salesforce Labs, not Force.com Labs. I guess Force.com Labs is Salesforce Labs now?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Newsflash.
Oh, well, let me change this here. All right. So I don't know if I think I've seen this before. It's been out for a couple months. It's called Approval Central for Salesforce One. So I'm just going by the screenshots. It's a little app that sits inside of your Salesforce One mobile.
Okay.
And it's got the app is called My Approvals. You click on it, and it lists out all of your approvals that are pending your approval.
Okay.
The person who is asking listed out, like, grouped by the object. So here's your approvals on opportunities. Here's your approvals on quotes. Here's your approvals on custom object A.
Because it's actually a missing feature of
Salesforce One.
Right. No
So
approvals.
Salesforce Labs built this in. So basically, anybody who approves anything, any approval processes that you have inside of Salesforce, it takes all of your pending approvals and puts them all in one place, so that you can do them pretty quickly with basically one or two taps. You jump into the app, you click on the approval or the line item, and you land on a screen that allows you to either approve or reject, and that's that.
So it's basically just it's a niche, it's a scratcher.
Yeah, Salesforce scratching their own itch.
Yep.
And it's free from Salesforce Labs. It has 6 reviews, all 5 stars, just pretty great.
That's pretty nice.
So, there's some suggestions, some suggestions in there about linking to records and let me approve in bulk.
Right.
Maybe they'll update it. I don't know. But for now, it definitely just, bridges a gap that exists in the product.
Awesome.
You can find that on the App
Approval
Exchange.
Central for Salesforce One, free. Salesforce or Force.com Labs, free on the App Exchange. and a nice little app. Mine is weird.
This is very weird.
This is weird, but it's something I've been using for. Actually, I've had this on my list of like 100 app picks that I could make. And this one just came up because I've been using it for months. I've actually been enjoying it. So, little side, like behind the kimono or whatever. I'm doing some work on my apartment next summer. So, like a typical person, I start researching things, a good year in advance. And I got hooked on some of the HGTV shows. So, Home and Garden TV. They have, I don't know, I think they have like 7 shows, and I love all of them. But they're all basically, some sort of build a house. So there's Property Brothers, there's Brother versus Brother, there's Flip or Flop, which is one of my favorites. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of shows. They are absolute pablum. I also have a 9-year-old daughter, and it's hard to find shows that we can watch together. I mean, we were watching Game of Thrones together because that's appropriate.
Right.
But then...
Well, your daughter and I watched Chopped together.
Right. So you have to find shows that are kind of like G-rated shows.
It sound like your daughter and I just hang out all the time.
Yes. Well, you babysit my kid, so that actually happens.
Chopped is cool.
Chopped is good. But HGTV... anything on HGTV can be watched, and she actually happens to like them.
I used to watch that stuff with my father all the time when I was growing up, like This Old House.
Oh yeah, that's the original.
That was like
so my father actually used to work on it.
Really?
Yeah, he was a director on This Old House. Yeah. So not for nothing. So I've been really kind of interested in it. So when I was looking for, it's great because you see all this stuff and you see what they're doing in the kitchens, the bathrooms, and how they're doing it. They always make it look easy. I mean, it's amazing to do something in like 3 days. You're like, how can you do that in 3 days when I know I go get my contractor? I mean, you did your my bathroom, and when you moved into your place, it took like 2 weeks.
The actual work part,
right,
didn't take that long. But yeah, from like start to finish, it took a week and a half or so.
There you go.
Because just logistics.
And you didn't do anything other. You did like basic stuff.
Very basic.
Retile.
Yes.
Oh, you did retile.
Yes.
Oh, full retile. Okay.
Yeah.
So
full
anyway.
retile. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So if you're looking for
every fixture was replaced.
The thing is, you start to look for ideas. Like when you're redoing your bathroom, I was like, I want to get some ideas. So this app called Houzz, Houzz, Houzz is a nice little app because it's basically just hundreds or thousands of really high color, great photos, and you can drill in. Say, show me pictures of like showers. Right, and they'll show you all. And then you can deal in on a product. It's definitely got a sale thing to it, like you can buy stuff. It's not too in your face, but like I'm just flipping through these pictures of like kids' rooms or whatever, and you can see they're all beautiful, and you can kind of get a good idea.
Of course, they're beautiful.
Well, but you're like, I like that tile, or I like that shower. That looks so cool.
That is a nice shower. Did you tag that one?
Or
Can you tag things that you like?
Yeah. So you can send them to your idea book.
Did you have that one? And is that your idea book?
So
that's a nice shower.
This one's on my
kind of like what you've been talking about.
This one's on my iPad. So it's iPad, iPhone. I just downloaded to this one just to show you because I
do not have like an account that syncs that stuff.
I think it does it locally, and then you can sign into an account, but I don't know if it syncs it. Again, it's not really a great app on the iPhone.
Let me see that one.
It's a much better app on the iPad.
It's
cool.
Free. If you had the space for this, I'd say go for this.
Yeah, but it's cool.
But you don't have the space.
But you get some good ideas.
This is a good idea.
Especially if you're working with another person. Like, Can
I save this to your idea book?
Sure, go ahead. Cool. I'm sure, yes.
Oh, you have to actually sign in.
So I must have already signed in. So look, if I sign in, maybe it'll, again with Facebook.
Sign in with Facebook.
It's terrible.
The other day I refused to do it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to go the opposite.
The other way.
I'm like, while this is so much easier, I'm going to actually create my own account.
Well, let's see if it actually sunk down. But anyway, so it's a great little app, and especially if you're looking for ideas. That's what I would say. Like there's my idea books.
Oh, cool. Let me see.
I created a bunch of them. I don't know if those are the ones that actually sank down. So it's great. Houzz. It's iTunes, iPad, on iTunes. It's free. There's definitely they want you to buy stuff. You definitely can buy things through it, but it's a nice little app. And it's great just to get you can see 300 shower heads if you want to look at shower heads. It's like, I want to see this type of shower head. Right. So I can get ideas of what I want to do with tile or bathrooms or closets. Anyway, I really think it's a great one. Try it out. See if you like it. Let me know. Also, let me know if you like the podcast. So we'd love to see you drop a review on Stitcher or subscribe on iTunes. We'd love that. We get some reviews up there. You want to follow Justin? Follow him at Just Edelstein. I'm at Jason Atwood. And at Arkus Inc. If you want to follow the company, we're facebook.com/Arkus Inc. We're in the Success Community Group. We're not in the Power of Us Hub.
No,
No.
they won't let us.
They won't let us. But we are. We personally are, but the podcast is not. So go to Success Group for that. LinkedIn, Google+, and we'll be back next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. We don't have anything really planned. So we'll have to. You're going away at the end of this week. You're going down for some fun in Miami.
Yeah, I mean today's Tuesday. I'm going away Thursday.
That's right. So have a good time.
I'm out of here.
And we'll be back. We'll be back next week. Justin, Jason, saying enjoy those cloudy days.